Hello there. Welcome to the Wall of Weird podcast, your Smallville podcast, although more recently the Superman and Lois podcast. That's it. All things Superman, but primarily Smallville. I'm joined on this episode, obviously, by Nicole and Lisa. We got no Durban tonight. He's off doing whatever Durban does when he's off. We're going to discuss episode 3 of Superman and Lois, which is called The Perks of Not Being Wallflower, which obviously is a play on the title of a film that I've never been that big on, but apparently everyone seems to love for some reason. No idea why, but so we're going to discuss episode 3. Guys, girls, I should say. Guy, you can still use the term guys, can't you? Guys, no, guys, girls. Anyway, Nicole, Lisa, any preliminary thoughts before we get into this?
Overall,
some good family drama tonight, yeah.
I really liked it. It was slightly lighter tone, I feel like, this episode, which I think it needed because we had quite a couple heavy episodes, and there was some light. This episode made me laugh out loud a few times, so that was great.
It's good.
Excellent. Just say hello to the people in the chat. We've got Dale, we got Aaron, and we got Troy. In case anybody hasn't realised, Wizzy Lizzy is, of course, Lisa. So, hello, guys. Thanks for joining us. Really good to have you on board. Let's get into it. Let's crank up my banner thing there. There we go. Okay, right. So, we'll dive straight in. First scene of the episode sees the Kent family rather light-heartedly decorating. As they're decorating and everything's nice, light and fluffy and happy and filling you with the joys of spring, a bridge collapses and Clark has to rush off, spoiling the family moment to save the people on the bridge. Let's start with you, Lisa. What were your initial thoughts on this opening scene?
Well, I really liked the fun fight scene with the paint. Yeah. Clark had his super hearing and zoomed off to China and saved the day. Did a little hello to the guy in the boat below, and he did it all one-handed as well. He was lifting the bridge. Whoa!
He seemed quite surprised by that.
Yeah.
Like he does that little. Are you still there, Nicole? Because you seem to have frozen.
The video froze.
Right. Okay, but you are still with us. Like when he's got it by one hand and he salutes to the dude in the boat. He almost seems to surprise himself. Like there's a look on his face like, oh, look what I'm doing. I've got this one-handed. Didn't realise I could do that. So, I found that quite interesting. Nicole?
And it was... And it was a nice piece also when he exited the Kent farm, and it was like, oh, he's Superman now. We'd just go off and let him do it. Yeah, he doesn't have to hide anymore or come up with lies when he's zooming off. It's like, go off and save whoever.
Yes. We have a couple clips for this, right?
We do. And I really like, as you mentioned, Lisa, this particular scene here.
Yes. So one of my thoughts was, why was the bridge collapsing? Was there an earthquake? Like, they didn't really say what was going on there.
I don't think we need to know. That's the point, though, isn't it? Because it's like it's not so much important as to why it's happening. I think it's the important thing with this, and what I think becomes a really big theme throughout this episode, and obviously throughout all 3 episodes, but particularly with this one, is just that idea that Clark is so divided between his loyalty to people everywhere and to the love of his family, and you really see that conflict in him of wanting to stay in that moment and be with his family, be present with his family, especially when they're having fun and just cutting loose, and then all of a sudden he's snapped back to reality, which kind of sucks big time for him and his family.
Yeah,
it also shows, how far his power reaches as well, all the way to China. We haven't seen that in any, in Smallville it were like 10 miles, even in Superman, it was, the movies, it wasn't that far. It's like all the way to China,
What? Was it China?
Yeah.
Was it actually China?
Yeah, it was in China. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
I didn't pick up on that at all.
As we find out in the next episode, he's going on about the fluctuations taking place in the collective sonic frequency, but we'll get onto that next. Right. But it's like, whoa, you can hear all that way?
Yeah, I was thinking that as well, because like you said, Smallville was 10 miles and this was all the way around the world, and he was able to pick out this disaster that was happening and get there very quickly as well. And I do love whenever he runs out, it's very dramatic. I like that.
But he's never had to hide it before, though, which is a good thing. Now he's shared his secret or burden with the family.
Let's just have a look at this little moment we were talking about when he salutes the Chinese man, which makes more sense now as to why he's Chinese.
It's not in Chinatown in Vancouver.
You don't only get Chinese people in China, So I just did not pick up on it, Tom. But anyway, check this out.
It's like, oh, what happened?
I can't tell if that's a look of, oh wow, I'm actually doing this one-handed, or oh wow, perhaps I should put that back.
Right.
So
I do like how he's personable with the people, though. He's not just going to save; he's connecting with them.
Yeah, I love that.
So that's what really makes him Superman, right?
Because in the pilot, he was also in China as well, and the guy in the car went like that to him as well, and waved.
Yes, you can tell it's China because the school bus has Chinese writing on it.
There you go. I'm not the most observant of people, clearly. Aaron says the bridge collapse scene feels like when Superman saving the Golden Gate Bridge during the earthquake in Superman movie. Yeah. And the thing is, the budget of it, like what they're putting on screen, is actually probably better than anything in Superman the movie, which is it's just incredible when you think how far they've come now with television. But yeah, I'm amazed by the visuals on this show so far. Three episodes in. So next scene, we're around the dinner table, the Kent family dinner table, and they're discussing Clark's. Pardon?
It's breakfast.
Yes, it's breakfast, but we call it the dinner table. Whatever. Let's not. Yeah, semantics. Big deal. Anyway, so they're discussing Clark's powers. Basically, his ability to hear at such a great distance, but also the responsibility that one has when they've got powers, and taking care to hide them, because obviously Jordan, with his emerging powers and whatnot, that they have to discuss the responsibility of that. We've got a little clip here just to demonstrate what's going on in that scene. Here it is.
What's the most embarrassing thing you've ever heard?
Nope. Not appropriate.
Be honest, was there nudity involved?
Maybe when you guys are older.
Oh, come on. Come on.
Another time.
I think that clip really demonstrates quite well just the tone of this particular episode. Like you say, it is a bit more light-hearted, this one. There's quite a few moments that made me laugh out loud, and make me warm to the family in the way that I did with Smallville. We're all lovers of Smallville. That's kind of what got us together. And one of the big things with that show is that family dynamic between the Kents. And I love that they're putting that back in here, really making us care about these people by showing us them being human. So yeah, any thoughts on this scene, guys?
I wonder what he was thinking about.
I love the. Oops.
Did I lose it again? Sorry.
Go on, Lisa.
Right. I love the gremlin reference to
Yes,
not feeding
yes.
after midnight.
Yeah.
But he also had a bit of a reminiscence to do with, Uncle Ben in Spider-Man. With every power comes with its own burden and responsibilities. Yeah. And rules. Yeah.
Yeah. Jordan is in. He's still kind of not really taking that up very strongly yet. I feel like.
Mhm.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
still got that Brightburn vibe going on, hasn't he?
Yeah. But, it's also the thing about don't draw unnecessary attention,
Yeah.
which he does do perhaps later with his football.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll
it's
get there.
it's setting up the main crux of Jordan's arc in this episode, isn't it? Really, is that yeah, he's laying down. Look, can't let your powers out because if you do, there will be consequences. So we know instantly from that little lecture, what's Jordan going to do? He's going to let his powers out, and he's going to have to learn from that. So yeah, so we go from there to Lana and Kyle, who are waiting in the car for Sarah to seemingly come out of therapy, and they're kind of arguing over it. It seems that Kyle doesn't really want Sarah to go to therapy, or seems disinterested in a way, kind of wants to pull back from it, whereas Lana's really no, we need to be on this, we need to so yeah, I don't have a clip for that because it was just a little short scene, but it does set up in this episode quite a few things, because this is, I would say, a pretty Lana heavy episode, and
Or a Lana and Sarah relationship episode,
yeah, absolutely,
which we haven't seen before.
Absolutely, and I'm sure if Durban were here, we would find an appropriate place to put this Lana drama. But I gotta say, the Lana drama in this episode, I really, really like. We'll get there when we get there, but this scene sets it up, and I gotta say, I really loved it in this episode. I don't know where you two sit on it, but we've got some big scenes coming up with Lana and Sarah. So
Yeah, no, I like it, and again, it's actually pretty common. I mean, for usually it is the dad that's not really on board with the therapy thing, or thinks that come on, this is past. Let's move on from this. So
I think there is a societal thing which I think is changing very slowly, but I do think men have often been taught that you need to hide your feelings, man up, not be and just talk about that stuff in private, and you don't need therapists and all that stuff. But
right, but Kyle's character, he's definitely would be one to.
Yeah, he's on that side of the spectrum. Absolutely,
Yeah, he
the
is.
beer swilling, football watching. Yeah, absolutely. He's a douche, basically. let's call it as it is. He's a douche. Right. Okay. Mercenary X84. I like that they. I'll put that up actually. I like that they addressed the invasive aspect of Superman's powers in a way that wasn't talked about in Superman Returns. Yeah, absolutely. We'll get to that.
We'll get on to that.
Yeah, definitely. And what's this? Dale. They say every time you say the name Lana, Brian and Durban get acute pains in their left eyes. Yeah. Okay. So we move from that scene to Jordan trying to speak to Sarah at school. in the hallway, but she kind of dodges him. She's very quick to get away from him because she sees her boyfriend down the hallway, and she doesn't want any trouble to start, so she just dodges him. It's kind of cold to him, and just gets the heck out of there. So doesn't do Jordan much good in the mental department. I don't think. He feels a bit cold-shouldered, but we've got a scene here just to demonstrate what's going on.
Hey guys! Wow, this place is really not changed.
Because of course, when Sarah leaves, her boyfriend decides to have a good go at Jordan, and powers start to emerge. And going back to Mercenary's comment, Clark is listening in and intervenes, which really pisses the boys off. So Jordan and Jonathan are not happy with this at all. I've got some thoughts on this, but Nicole, do you want to go first?
I mean, I as a parent, it would be hard to resist that.
Oh.
I mean, I mean, just look at what people do to their kids, right? They inspect everything on their phone. They want to know what's going on. To not do that, and he intervened, and it's not clear which way it would have gone if he didn't show up, because there was some emergence of his powers. Did he need Clark to intervene? Did he not? Maybe it would have been better if he didn't. It's understandable why, especially because they're new, and I don't understand why he's not trying to see if he can control it at all. That's one thing I wanted to talk about. But yeah, I can understand why they would feel like their privacy was invaded, to have the idea that someone's always listening to them. But I can also see Clark's perspective as well.
The thing with that as well is that this isn't just... From their perspective right now, they're not just looking at this moment. They're thinking, how many other moments have there been?
Definitely. Throughout his lifetime.
Yeah, exactly. How many times have we been up to something or, involved in something, and he knew and pretended like he didn't, but clearly did, because he heard us. I mean, my assumption is that Clark wouldn't usually be listening into these guys, but because of Jordan's recent emergence of powers, that's what's prompted the invasion of privacy.
He's probably never done it before. Yeah.
Oh no, he does say that he has, because he doesn't say that he didn't. He said,
well, that's another thing.
He said, not all the time. That was his word.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can imagine. If you drop your kid off for someone else to watch them, right? You want to make sure they're doing okay. Like, you wouldn't take a quick listen in, or their first day somewhere, because parents get nervous and they want to know what's going on. How are they doing? Like, their first day of school. I mean, there's so many times.
I'd be all over that. I'd be camped out just listening to everything. And if somebody just even put a foot wrong with my kid, I'd be in there like nailing them with my heat vision. But it's just I do love this scene, because I love scenes in any film or TV show where there is a tension that is created, like a moral dilemma, so to speak, that brings up certain tensions, where you can relate to both sides in equal measure. And it's a total invasion of privacy. So I totally see why the kids are pissed off. But then again, like you said, Nicole, I'm a parent. It's like, if you hear that as a parent, and if you had that power, you would want to check in on them and see, are they doing okay, and shield them from that kind of stuff. But again, there is that aspect of, actually, these guys need to find their own way. They need to become their own men on their own terms. And Jordan might have escalated in that situation. He might have used his powers, but then again, Clark didn't really give him the chance to prove that he wouldn't. And it could have been that actually it'd have controlled them, back down, but Clark kind of took that opportunity away from him, which shows a lack of trust in many ways. So
That's
so
true.
again,
It's a tough situation though, because it could happen so quickly, and that would have severe consequences. So I can understand, and I would say that, in terms of invasion of privacy, when you're a child, it's a lot different than when you're an adult. Like, listening on adult conversations, like when we talk about Lois later. But I think that maybe as they get to a certain age, I can see them wanting to have some respect of privacy.
But even
So
children,
how
it's one thing to check in on your kids. It's another thing to put spy cams and listening devices all over the place,
Well,
which is essentially what he's doing. So
they do use spy cams, though. And they have nanny cams.
cams, yeah, but that's for the that's for the nanny. That's not for the kid.
It's for both. They want to check in on their kids.
It's for the protection of the kid against the nanny. It's not. Yeah. I would hope, at any rate. I'm sure there's plenty of dodgy parents out there, but. Yeah, Lisa, did you have something to add then?
Yeah, I've got a couple of points. So in this scene, how far do you think Jordan could have gone if he wasn't if Clark didn't turn up? Do you think he'd have gone?
How far he could have gone? He could have
gone, with his.
Yeah, he could have done what we see towards the end of this episode.
Because a lot of people are speculating about, the heat vision eyes and stuff.
Yeah. Well, we've seen him have full-on heat vision eyes, so we know he can burn holes through things. I think worst case scenario is he goes full Brightburn and puts 2 holes in this guy. So, so I totally understand where Clark is coming from. Do you risk taking that chance for the sake of testing whether or not your son has the stones yet to make the right choice? It's like someone's life is on the line. It's like. It's like if your kid gets into a car for the first time, are you going to say, "Off you go, son, drive away. I'm trusting you'll make the right choices"? Or are you going to say, "Actually, no, the potential for human casualties here is pretty high, so I'm going to get in that car with you"? I again totally get where both sides are coming from, and that's what makes the scene interesting. That's what makes the conflict within it so watchable and relatable and
well, it's interesting how much trust Jonathan and Martha had with Clark going to school in Smallville. When he has that emergent power, they don't tell him he has to stay home.
Well,
but he was an all-rounded farm boy. He didn't have the mental issues and the anguish that Jordan seems to have, which is probably a product of the current generation we have.
He just had uncontrollable power that he didn't.
You've also got to bear in mind that the teaching with Clark was a lot different as well, because they already knew he was different. They already knew his, and we saw in the first episode of Smallville that the whole thing with the arm in the shredder, but we got the sense that even before that, abilities had started to manifest themselves. The strength and whatnot was already kind of there, so they knew he was different. So we don't know at what point that they became more okay with him going to school. They could have had that period where actually we've got to keep him out for a bit.
And this one, it's all new and fresh and it's emerging, so we've just got to wait to see what happens. I have got the other point as well, which was brought up by Mercenary X84 about the spying that happened with Superman in Superman Returns, because Brandon Routh there, he was listening to Richard and Lois and hanging outside the house and
full on
being in Jason's bedroom. It was full on like listening. Okay, I know he's been away for 5 years, but he was still sort of like, he was still very much an outsider and listening in. So it's a good comment there from Mercenary X84.
I'll say that Clark from Smallville was actually usually pretty good about not invading people's privacy with his powers. He could have so many times, especially in season 9. I mean, I was just surprised by the amount of self-control he had.
It's mostly just when he was on Red K that he full on
and also with Supergirl, she's got her glasses where to do X-ray vision, she actually has to take them off. And it always seemed in Lois and Clark that Dean Kane's Superman had to take his glasses off to do whatever he needed to do with his eyes as well. Yeah, so they might have had the glasses to sort of like, rein them back in and not see everything at the same time.
See and
Or to
hear
spy in
and
the girls'
smell
locker room.
everything.
Okay, so we move on to the next scene, which I'll throw this clip up first before we get into it.
Do you remember the first time I caught you listening in on me?
How could I forget? Thought I was gonna lose you forever.
You almost did.
So Clark and Lois obviously have a chat. She's having trouble getting people to talk to her about the reverse mortgages that Morgan Edge is kind of controlling, and he wants to know how to earn back the son's trust, to which she responds, "Make them the same promise you made me," and that promise is no more listening in. But I do
Not buying flowers.
yeah. I do love these moments between Lois and Clark. Genuine husband and wife, parental moments. Again, it's a staple of the character. We saw this with Jonathan and Martha, but now it's actually Clark and Lois who are having these conversations. But it is this constant turmoil of bringing up a child, and even though one of them at least has got powers, you can still relate to these two and the struggle that they're having with their children. But yeah, it's a small scene, but I just really like it because of what it says about these two as people, as parents, as husband, as wife. So
Yeah, every time they're in a scene, this whole episode, I was like, this is marriage goals and parenting goals. They really are like a good example.
And also it seems in Smallville, everyone's always got a glass of red wine to hand.
I noticed that in this
Lana's
one.
got it,
Clark, Clark and Lois are heavy drinkers in this because we've seen it in the previous two episodes as well. He's like, because like in the first episode, Clark says specifically, "I could really do with a drink.
I could do with a beer."
And then in the past two episodes, we've seen him hand a glass of red wine to Lois. So yeah, bit worried
and
about.
And Lana's got one, and Kyle's always got one at the dinner table as well. Yeah,
heavy drinkers.
Well, they could just be having one glass of red at in the evening.
Every night.
Yeah, some people do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Some people. Yeah, I think we call them alcoholics, Nick.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Clark makes that promise. He basically talks to the boys. He's waiting for them when they go out in the morning to take them to school, and he just says, no more listening in. He makes that promise. So it's Superman. If Superman makes a promise, obviously, he's going to keep it. But,
unless I could see there might be an exception, but
well, how many times did a certain other Mr. Clark lie about stuff? But he was only protecting people.
It happens in every iteration. It's pretty much it's the go-to kind of function for Clark, really, I think. So we've got a scene where I don't think we have a clip for it actually, but there's a woman who she calls into the Smallville Gazette to see Lois, and basically her son went missing after taking an opportunity from Morgan Edge. So Morgan Edge was hiring people for a particular piece of work, and he disappeared after taking this opportunity. Without kind of any signs since. Lois starting to, obviously this is a woman who's come from outside of Smallville. She's come from a neighbouring town somewhere.
Carthage.
So we've just seen Lois, we've heard her talk about the trouble she's having getting people within Smallville to trust her. So the way to the story, it seems, is actually people outside of Smallville coming to her. So, but obviously that is going to have consequences, which we'll see a little later on. There's a sequence now. I'll throw the clip up, and then
we could talk about the fact that actress was in Smallville.
Yeah.
I knew I recognised her, but I couldn't think which. I knew she'd been in it, and I just
as soon as she walked in, I went, I know who that is. Oh my god, it's Smallville.
Her voice is. When I rewatched it, I was I don't know how I missed it.
No, I knew straight away.
She was a detective.
Maggie
Sawyer, of course. She's aged so much.
Yeah. I know, but her voice is the same.
Yeah. She was in season 2. She was in
June
3.
Well,
she was in 4. Yeah. When
She only had a few appearances, but
she's had
Maggie
a few.
Sawyer,
From Metropolis PD, but she was certainly from Smallville. And as soon as she walked in, I went, Maggie Sawyer.
Cracking.
Yeah, she. So her son died, and left her a phone call of when he knew that he was in trouble.
Did he die or did he just disappear? We don't know yet.
Well,
I guess
all we
she
know
never
is that
heard
he's
from
gone.
him.
Yeah,
you're right.
She's not heard from him since. So
who knows? Maybe he's in some lab.
Maybe he's been turned into a superhuman assassin.
It could be in Cadmus Lab somewhere, getting I don't know, all sorts of stuff done to it.
Sorry,
my worst right there.
Okay, so I'll throw this clip up, and then we'll talk about this scene.
You can't just break up with me.
Have you not been paying attention?
Come on.
Don't.
Can you say convenient? This everything in this episode so far was so golden and so well done that I just felt like this scene was a bit of a let's take the easiest possible way we can to kill two birds with one stone, which is one, break up Sarah with a boyfriend, and two, let Jordan in on that piece of information. It's just it felt lazy, to be honest. I get it. It's all TV shows.
And he
do
didn't
it.
even have to use super hearing to see it.
It's shorthand. Get there fast. Use a quick scene just to get some information out. But it did feel like it was a little bit convenient, contrived, that he just happens to walk. The school's a big place, and he happens to be at the exact spot that he needs to be in order to overhear her breaking up with him. So
it's possible. It's possible. But I was
TV,
shocked that they had them break up. So that was only for a couple episodes. I thought this was going to be like a season 1 whole
they're
arc
learning.
thing.
They've got rid of Whitney straight away. See, they've been listening. Okay, they thought this is the Whitney douchebag boyfriend.
He's way worse than Whitney.
He's way worse than Whitney. Well, is he though? Whitney progressed.
I don't know. Whitney was bad.
But
you're right.
Those first couple of episodes, Whitney was on this level. He strung Clark up and all that.
He did. That was pretty bad.
He got rid.
He came back. Yeah.
He put Lana's necklace over it. He was a grade A douche. Let's face it. So this guy is Whitney level. First couple of episodes, and it's like he's that foil, the one that's going to get in Jordan's way and prevent him from. The only thing she's missing is a kryptonite necklace that makes Jordan stumble. But no, we learn from past mistakes and we say actually we're going to get rid of this guy straight away and we'll do something else with him instead. So I love that. Great. Whitney douchebag has gone for now. So that was just like I say, bit of a downer for the episode, just because the scene for me it was a bit glaringly obvious. But moving on, we have a scene now. I've got the clips here. I'm sorry, Nicole, but I didn't actually manage to check out the clips all the way through after you'd sent me them because I was in a bit of a tight spot tonight. But so I don't have a clip for Lana quitting the cheerleading team, but yeah, basically Lana quitting the team. I'm even calling her Lana. So Sarah quits the cheerleading practice, quits the team, which just so happens to be being taught by Lana. Hello Lana, teacher of all things cheerleader.
And it's also Go Crows.
Go Crows, yeah, nice to see the Crows in there. So anything to add to that?
Just was very familiar.
It is very familiar. Okay, it is building towards stuff with these two characters, though. Obviously,
yeah, it was.
She
probably wanted to stay connected to her daughter, especially. She probably volunteered or really wanted to get into that position.
Absolutely,
well,
I think
fact that Sarah's quit. Sorry. The fact that Sarah's quit, Lana's getting worried for her daughter again. It's like, oh, you love cheerleading so much. You've got problems and you've suddenly quit and I'm here to look after you, but you've gone off a month. So you can imagine her, trying to be a mother and understanding why she's quit. So
I think Lana is really trying very hard to connect with her daughter, and not just as a result of her quitting the team, but I think
after a break,
after her suicide attempt, and I think because of that she's overcompensating, and it's making her become overbearing. But it's all done for the right reasons. It's all done out of love. And there are moments.
Doesn't that go back to being overprotective?
Well,
we've heard all that before.
No,
I'm just trying to look after you, save you, protect you.
There are moments in this episode and in the previous two episodes where that behaviour from Lana towards Sarah can make you want to say #Lana drama and be like, we're getting back into Lana mode here. But actually, it really doesn't go down that road. I'm going to leave it there for now, but we get to a scene later on which really turns things around straight away for Lana, and I instantly turn around with her and totally understand where she's coming from, who she is, what she's about. And so like I said, we'll get there when we get there. But okay, so the next scene from there is a little bit of football practice.
Hey, where you going, QB number 2? Not so fast.
Excuse me, Coach?
You got the big cheese running off for a little brother and you didn't say nothing to me?
So Jordan shows up to football practice and basically owns the field. And as you could see there, the coach wasn't too happy with Jonathan about that. Thinks he was kind of hiding his brother away somewhere, hiding the talent. Really great scene. I'll let one of you two go on this first. Who wants to go first?
Yeah, there was this really when Jordan first comes out and Jonathan says a pretty funny line. Because he's being a little pessimistic. He's like, "What are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here." Because he's really worried. He's almost trying to be like the responsible one, right? And Jordan goes, "Since when are you a pessimist?" And Jonathan goes, "Since I saw you run out here in a bunch of pads." Oh yeah, and then you got the small guy taking out these guys that are almost twice his size. And and nobody questions it at all. It's like, oh, he's just really good. Okay.
And his name's Short Stack, was it?
Short Stack, yeah. They keep calling him Short Stack.
But yeah, it was a good scene. I did like it.
Yeah. I love the relationship between Jonathan and Jordan. Again, it feels natural. It doesn't feel like TV brothers. It feels like these are genuine brothers. The way they talk to each other, the way they can be at each other's throats one minute and then forgive each other the next and have each other's back the next. And it's just, and again, this sets up a dynamic between them where actually, because of Jordan's powers, he can now muscle in on Jonathan's territory. Really, football's his thing. He says that at one point. Football's my thing. Yeah, it's like, and again, it's a totally relatable thing. I mean, I had two older brothers, and if it's something that I felt particularly good at or drawn to, and they started kind of deciding, oh, that's something I want to do. Actually, I can totally relate to Jonathan here. But then, that being said, I can also relate to Jordan for wanting to become involved and be part of the team and actually have friends for once instead of being the outcast. So it's again, it's all good dynamics that are really well set up and played out.
Yeah, I mean, Jonathan, he seems to continue to take the brunt of everything and make the sacrifices again and again. I mean, here, he's not really melding well with his team yet. He's nowhere near the star that he was. And then his brother comes in and completely shows him up. Sorry. Oh, I forgot to put on Do Not Disturb.
I just hope that dynamic with Jonathan doesn't sort of like make him all jealous, because what's happening.
Yeah.
Anyway,
they're always on that precipice, aren't they? And that's another, always keeping that tension there that this could go either way. This could go Brightburn from either one of these. It's almost like equalizer levels on a stereo, constantly up and down with the two of them. They could, So I do like that constant balancing act of never knowing where these two might end up. 3-4 years down the line, whatever.
One of the things I have noticed about this scene is the continuity. It's like Jordan's got dry hair, he's got wet hair. He's got dry hair, he's got wet hair.
Can't say I noticed that one, but again,
if anyone else is watching,
this is the guy who didn't notice that we were in China, so I'm sure you can give me a bit of leeway on that one. Aaron White says that my favourite part of the episode, Jordan going Adam Sandler Waterboy on them. Yep, absolutely. I don't know if either one of you have seen that film.
I have, yeah.
It's a terrible film. I will just hold my hands and say I personally think it's a terrible film, but I know the scene he's talking about. So Molly, Jonathan deserves a reward for Brother of the Year. Absolutely,
I agree.
Yes, definitely.
For sure.
He keeps showing himself throughout these 3 episodes we've had, time and time again. He keeps showing himself to be definitely a worthy brother.
And later on he does as well, which we'll get to.
Absolutely. So we go from there to a diner where Jonathan and Jordan and Sarah are chatting in the diner, and then Lana comes in and gets into a fight with Sarah.
Trust that and back off?
I know you're not telling me everything that happened.
That's hilarious. Coming from the most full of crap lady in all of Smallville.
Okay, Sarah.
So, they have a bit of an argument because Lana wants to know why she quit why Sarah quit the team. Sarah's just not having any of it. She's like, what's up, bitch? And like, the two of them basically leave. Lana kind of drags Sarah out there almost, and Clark is entering just as they're leaving.
Lana?
Not now, Clark.
I have to add that in because when he says Lana there, it reminded me so much of when Tom Welling would say Lana, just the way he
Lana?
said it. Yeah, it was perfect. But one important thing happened with the boys there, where she asked, oh, you're really fitting in now. Or, no, when you, have you ever been in a spot where you really just want to change, everything about yourself? And Jordan's like, yeah. And Jonathan says, not until I moved here. So you can see that, there is something under festering for Jonathan. And I think something's going to happen there,
But Sarah also said, you two are very unusual people.
Yeah.
So she's onto him. She's very, very perceptive. So if there's anyone going to find out your secrets, it's going to be Sarah. Mm-hmm.
Sarah and Jordan seem to be following kind of the same arc in this episode, I feel like.
Yeah.
The parent relationship.
And what we also saw in this episode as well, that Sarah's younger sister Sophie is a bully, and Kyle sleeps on the sofa, and Lana takes a pill every night. So this, it's not all fun and games in the Cushing family.
Yeah, it's a pretty big deal actually, that scene, because it shows. This is where it really starts to let us in on Lana's character, that actually there's a real facade that is going on with this family. She looks beautiful. She seems to be quite successful. She's a businesswoman. She's also teaching at the school. She's quite well respected. But it's all falling apart underneath. The family's just crumbling. Which I think is the case for many families. It's a very real world experience that a lot of people put up these walls, these projections of how they want to be seen, because they don't want people to see actually what's really going on, which is a shame, because we should be able to talk about struggles and things like that and help each other through them. So
Jordan also hides the fact that he started football, and he kind of gets Jonathan to go along with it.
Because Clark arrives and asks the boys how their day went, and they pretty much just skim over it.
Let's have some chili cheese fries and get on with it.
Half truth, right? They just left out part of the information.
It's kind of the way Clark often deals with certain truths, isn't it?
Yes, he does.
He doesn't lie. He just doesn't necessarily give you all the information.
And he doesn't necessarily answer the question that you really were intending to ask. But he did answer with a true statement.
Okay, so we go from there to Lois discussing the legitimacy of Mrs. Powell's story about her son with her editor, whose name I forget right now, to be honest. Chrissy Beppo, that's it. Miss Beppo, a character I really like. She's so they're discussing the legitimacy of the story. I'm quite surprised actually that Beppo is so, I guess, good at confronting Lois on this issue, because like we've seen in the previous episode how much she idolizes Lois, and Lois is the one who's the big shot Pulitzer Prize winning reporter. She's come into this small hick town. She's essentially doing this woman a favor by giving her credentials. So you could very much understand this woman almost just rolling over on any story that Lois wanted to do. You want to do that story? Go ahead, Lois. Get out of the park. But no, she challenges her on it. She challenges her on the legitimacy of this woman who's come in, which is what a real editor should do in order to make their reporters, no matter how good they are, produce better work. So as
I have vibes that she's going bad, though.
You think so?
Yeah, definitely. Something's going to happen.
No,
Something's going to happen.
I hope
Life-changing
not.
event, and she's going to go bad.
She's corruptible.
Yeah.
I'll put that out there. I don't know if it will, but it's.
I'll just something bad. Yeah.
No.
I hope not, but I've got a spiderly tingly sensation that she might have.
I hope not. No. Anyway, we'll move on. Enough of surmising.
All right.
I don't know. I don't want to bring myself to think about that at the moment. Okay, so as they're talking, as they're discussing that, boom!
I hate to ask, but you don't happen to drive a station wagon that's on fire right now.
Yes, she does. So yes. Excellent
Another
line.
Kent
Love
vehicle
that.
bites the dust.
Yeah, we're definitely in Smallville territory right now. It's a good job they've got 2 cars because, quite frankly, it was about time one of them got taken out. Insurance premiums in Smallville are pretty much sky high. So.
You got Nicola there. You're right, Nicola.
Okay, Aaron is off to work, so see you, Aaron. Have a good shift. Yeah. So yeah, Lois's car's been bombed out. Really great line. And I'm looking at that Beppo in that clip there, and I'm sorry, I'm not seeing it. The darkness isn't there. I think she's one of the good guys.
Watch out.
I could see
It's
a
a woman
little
tingly
bit,
thing.
but there was just something with that other scene, not this one, but the other one. But
see, I know what you're talking about, and I think it was more about keeping Lois on track and making sure, like she makes her a better reporter because of what she does. She does precisely what Perry White would have done. She calls her out on her emotions because she's being led by her emotions. She's so determined to get Morgan Edge that she's got to be careful not just to buy every story that comes along. So she's right to do that. She's right to say, Lois, can we believe this woman? Can we, let's just discuss this for a minute. Is it legitimate? And in the end, obviously, she goes with it. But so yeah, I just think she's being a good editor. I think you're reading too much into that look.
I hope
Women's
so.
intuition. I
don't want to be right on this at all. No, I'm not. There's only a little bit. I'm just this much. I'm enough to keep an eye out. That's all.
Yeah. There's a little scene just after this, which I think we talked. I can't remember if it was on one of the Smallville episodes we did or one of the Superman and Lois ones, but it was a Smallville one. But we talked about like scenes that you can cut. If you can cut a scene, what would it be? And there is a scene, a very short one, just after the bombing out of the car, where we see Kyle is there to put out the fire. Lois accuses Morgan Edge, obviously, and Kyle's all like, blah, blah, blah. And I kind of felt like actually we already know this is the dynamic between these two characters. It's not really giving us anything new. It's not telling us any information we didn't already know. So if there's one thing I would have changed. There's one thing I would have changed. Okay, what I would have done is I would have had Lois say what she said to Kyle, and then Kyle turns, kind of tuts, walks away, and we see him walking off with his other firemen buddies, who all look back at Lois and go, so that we see that actually it's not just Kyle who is against Lois in this matter, but actually it's the rest of the townsfolk. It's other people. Everyone else doesn't want to hear what Lois is selling right now, not just Kyle. And I think that's what would have made this scene different, but it doesn't. It's just Kyle and Lois, and they're kind of giving us information that we already know about them. I mean, like, if I'm wrong, let me know. But...
So this drives a further scene that happens between Lois and Clark, though, where this moment sticks with Lois, where she's kind of seen that, people aren't buying. She shouldn't have said that to Kyle. She doesn't have enough information, where she's just kind of accusing Morgan Edge for, doing this without any proof. And obviously they're not going to believe her. And so she really needs to do some more investigation to get buy-in from the town. And she actually questions whether she should even continue doing it based on this interaction. So I think it was important, but I do like your little change would have been good. But...
It was important because Chrissy begins to investigate as well, and that's where we get the board later on.
Yeah, it's the wall of weird. So it's just like I get those points, and I understand what you're saying there, Nicole. It's just I don't think that. I still think she would say this kind of thing to Kyle. I think what I'm trying to say is that she knows that Kyle knows that she already feels this way. So her saying that to him shouldn't really make her feel all that stupid. She's already in that boat with him. But whereas if you make the change that I suggested, she suddenly makes herself look foolish in front of not just Kyle, but actually other people in the town who are now looking at her and thinking, so
because we get told she says that everyone's putting up the walls, but we don't see it, and that would have been a nice way to show it besides with Kyle. But they wanted to stick with the characters they want us to care about right now.
Yeah, but that's like a minor change that really you don't then have to get other
take away
characters
Kyle's
involved.
lines.
It's just...
He had like 5 lines in this whole episode.
don't want to Principal Quan him. It's just like give him those few little lines. Let him turn up at the pool. Go on. Okay. Right. So we go from there, and Jonathan confronts Jordan about playing football. Jordan says he's doing nothing wrong. Do we have a clip for that? I think we do, yeah.
What if someone gets hurt? I'm getting a little tired of everyone treating me like I'm some sort of ticking time bomb. Dad's gonna find out. So what? I'm not doing anything wrong.
He's just not listening, is he? He's not listening. It's like he keeps getting told, and he's just not listening.
Oh, Jordan, I kind of
to happen.
In this scene, I was all on Jonathan's side. He even throws the back, you being all, egotistical. What is football your thing? I was like, at least care about Jonathan's feelings a little bit in this situation. But Jordan just does not come off that great in this scene.
No.
There is something funny I find about this scene, though. Why are they whispering? Your dad is Superman, and he can hear you. And he's like, shh, we're whispering. And he's like, that really got to me. I'm sorry.
I think that's instinctive, isn't it? It's just instinctive.
He can hear you over in China. Yeah, why can't he hear you in the bedroom next door? He's like, whispering's not going to stop it, is it?
Well, it might make it harder for Clark to resist, though, if it's louder. If he can hear it in a normal hearing, I would think it. Hey, why are they yelling? You might be more like, what's going on?
Yeah. I think it's a completely valid point for Jonathan to say football is my thing, because it's like it is his thing, and that, Jordan. And not only is it his thing, but actually at the previous place where they lived, he was going places with his thing.
Yeah.
And he dropped his thing in order to help you out.
To look after you,
and now you're taking his thing. So I think it's perfectly within reason for him to say, stop muscling on my thing.
I can understand. You see, I think I would have felt different about it if Jordan had just empathized a little bit with his brother in that scene instead of kind of attacking back at him. I do think that he should if he really wanted to play football, have an opportunity just because his brother's doing it. It's not really fair to not be able to do it because it's his thing. But I don't like the way he kind of threw it back at him. But I can see brothers doing that. Jordan, he's just like, I'm going to do whatever I want, and I don't care what anyone thinks. I don't care what my dad thinks. I don't care what my brother thinks. I'm just, he's being a little reckless.
Yeah. There are a few times in this episode and in shows like this in general, to be honest, where I often feel like if characters would have just explained themselves in a slightly different way, the whole situation would be smoothed over. Like you say, if Jordan just said, like, look, I know football's your thing, and I'm really sorry if it feels like I'm muscling in, but I'm really getting something out of this, and I feel like I'm making connections. Boom, it's done. You've explained yourself. Jonathan then knows where you're coming from, but instead it's like attack. But like you say, I think brothers can do that because it turns into a bit of a territorial pissing contest, I guess. So you want to kind of make your mark, but
there's what we should say in conversations, and then there's what actually ends up coming out sometimes. Sometimes our emotions
what's heard by what you said.
Exactly. Sometimes the emotions get the best of us, right? So it's very human. I understand. I think we're all guilty of it, right?
Absolutely. Molly says they'll have to start another counter for car explosions.
Definitely. Molotov cocktails, here we come. When it's happy hour, that's not what we're expecting.
Right, so we go from there to Clark consoles Lois, who feels foolish for publicly accusing Edge. Although she didn't really accuse him publicly, she just told someone that she already knew. Felt like that way. So yeah, we've already talked about that, so moving on. So
I think we have a clip there.
And she was also drinking red wine.
Yeah, we have we do. We have a clip.
Yeah, Clark support. Yeah. That was for. Yes. Okay. Yeah.
That's this one.
Let's have a look.
Listen, I will support whatever decision you make. I just want you to be able to live with it.
I love you.
Yeah.
Such a courageous moment. Husband.
Just a nice husband and wife moment again. Because in order for a show like this to work, you really need to believe in these family dynamics. That husband and wife relationship, the brother relationship, the father-son's relationship, the mother-son's relationship. All those things are really what is at the heart of a show like this. And if it doesn't work, the show doesn't work. And thankfully, from what we've had with these 3 episodes, all this stuff works. So we get another scene here that we don't have a clip for it, but it's a really nice moment, which is when Lana bumps into Clark and the two of them talk about family, and this is where she admits that hers is falling apart. So this is when we start to see the real Lana. I think it's quite apt that it's Clark to whom she's opening up to. Obviously, like if Superman and Lois, if this show is your is the first experience you have of these characters, then perhaps you're not gonna quite get the level of gravity that this moment really has or should have. But obviously, if you're a Superman fan, you know the history between these two characters. You know that they dated as teenagers and all that kind of stuff. Were in love with each other at one point. The fact that she opens up to Clark here is very telling. It's very telling indeed.
I'm still wondering if there's going to be some drama there at some point.
That literally
I
just
hope not.
I
hope
literally
not.
just popped in my head then, and I have to say, I flipping well hope not. Please, please don't go down that route. Do not go down that route. I'll be very disappointed.
Like I said, I think Clark is too good of a character to do anything stupid like that.
Yeah.
But I'm more wonder from Lana's side if she's going to put Clark in an uncomfortable situation. Like that's where I would see it the most it would going. Yeah.
And of course, there's always red kryptonite.
You're right, that could cause problems.
But
do you think that Jordan would be affected? Or Jonathan?
Interesting. We'll get there when we get there, I guess.
Yeah.
But the crux of this scene anyway, the end of it, even though I actually think it's a very good scene because for those reasons I've just suggested, is that she lets slip that Jordan is actually taking up football. So yeah, and we go from there to Jordan pretty much nailing Sarah's ex-boyfriend.
Shouldn't have kissed Sarah. It wasn't cool. Apologize.
I think this was my favorite Jordan moment in the episode. That's really when I started to come over to his. He does have some more good in there, you know.
Yeah.
The thing is, see, it's a tricky one actually with this scene because there is a power play that is made there before he apologizes. He shows his. What's this guy's name again? We'll just call him Whitney.
Sean.
Whatever. Right. Well,
Sean.
I'm calling him Whitney. So he makes a power play at Whitney. He shows him that he can hurt him.
Whitney.
And then he
egged him on. Whitney chose him. It wasn't the other way around.
Yeah, I know, but he didn't have to use his powers, did he? He didn't have to throw him halfway across the field.
But he's doing that with everybody.
I think he does take Whitney down a bit harder than he has done the previous people in this. All I'm saying is, I don't know. I feel like there's a little bit too much Brightburn there. There's a little bit too much. There's a little bit too much Shawshank before we get to the redemption on this particular scene, where it just makes me think. Like I get what you're saying, and I think it's purposeful. I think they've done the scene there purposefully so that you can see both sides of Jordan's character. But I think because what we've seen him just do, he's made that power play. He's shown he's stronger physically. He's shown, look, I can own you anytime, mate. But for what it's worth, I'm sorry that I kissed your girlfriend. And it's just like it almost makes the apology seem not redundant, not completely redundant, but I don't know. It's tinged with something darker, I would say. That's the only way I can explain it.
I see what you're saying, but go ahead, Lisa.
I was hoping that he'd have this big backlash with the football team. He'd do pow, 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 and then go, and then leave it and walk off.
Yeah.
But because, Malcolm's phoning up, he's messaging him saying, let's do this, he feels part of the team. I was just hoping he'd walk away from it and go, I've proved your point. There you are, Sean. You're a tosser. And walk off. Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt that it was a resolution to their conflict. So a lot of men especially like to do that in a physical way, and I felt that's what that was setting up. Of course, he's going to be a little bit more superior because he has some superhuman strength. But then to come down and to apologize at the end shows that he does have some compassion. I mean, he didn't even know that she had a boyfriend, and he's still apologizing that he hurt him and emotionally by doing that. So I have to give him a lot of credit for that, you know, and he helps him up. And it feels like, okay, now we can start to maybe be friends. That's what I felt out of that moment.
Yeah. There's definitely something there in what you're saying about... There's definitely definitely something there in what you're saying about the whole thing between men, because I've experienced that myself, especially in high school. I actually had a specific incident in which a guy was bullying a friend of mine. I'd never met this guy, didn't know him, but I told my friend that if this guy wants to bully someone, tell him to come and bully me. Just mouthing off kind of thing. And then it gets back to me that this guy wanted to meet me at a particular location at a particular time to have a fight. So I turned up. I turned up for this fight, not knowing who I was going to meet. This could have been anyone, quite frankly. Like I said, I'd never seen this guy, never met him. I just knew he was bullying my mate, and I mouthed off. And then next thing I know, I'm turning up for this fight. A big crowd shows up, all expecting this thing to kick off. And then in the end, this guy just walked away. But this particular guy turned out to be one of my best friends in high school. About a year later, we ended up we kind of moved over into high school, and we got to know each other. And I had a very small group of friends in high school, and this dude ended up being one of them. And I do think there was a level of respect that was earned there by me calling him out and saying, "All right, let's do it. Let's have a fight."
Also, Jordan even mentions to Jonathan, "Hey, I'm trying to," because they were both being bullied by these guys on the football team because of what happened. Both of them were. They were shoving them into lockers. Look at what happened in the beginning of the episode. You know, so I think that Jordan was also trying to make a play, like, stop messing with us. You know, like, let's to stop being bullied. And at least he did it on the field and not, like, you know. In the back of the school, or, you know, I mean, he could have done it anywhere, but he made the choice, hey, I'm going to do it on the football field. And that's why he chose to go to the football field, was to show these guys to stop messing with both him and his brother.
I'm hoping Sean might redeem himself later in this series. You know, like Whitney did eventually, you know. So let's see what happens. Yeah.
I mean, in all fairness to douchebag Sean, okay? In all fairness, the first experience he had of Jordan was Jordan kissing his girlfriend.
Yeah.
He is a douchebag.
But he's also an alpha male, and he's, claiming he's right, yeah.
Yeah, Whitney didn't even have the excuse of Clark making moves. He couldn't make moves.
No, he did.
He fell over every time he got near her because of the necklace.
No, she kissed him on the cheek. That's why he tied him up.
She kissed him on the cheek.
Yeah.
Yes, she kissed him on the cheek. Yeah. Clark didn't make the moves. Lana did.
He was still getting close to his girl. That's what it was about.
His girl was getting close to him, and there's a big difference. So he needs to have words with his girl.
He wanted to say, "Stay away from my girl." That's what that was about. Like, you know, well, because he was getting close to her. Though he was hanging out with her, you know, obviously enough to have her kiss him on the cheek. So
there's definite mirrors here, isn't there, between this show and Smallville? It does make me wonder if these are very deliberate. But yeah, they've kind of tweaked them a bit. But I will say, all fairness to the douchebag, this guy literally tried to kiss his girlfriend. Well, did kiss his girlfriend. So, you know, but he's still a douche. So, moving on. Right. Okay, so we go from there to Clark gets into a fight about the whole football thing with Jordan, who basically retaliates and calls him a rubbish dad, essentially.
Dick, You know what? Everything you do is a mistake. You get fired, you bring us here. You know, I just wish you would go back to not being around anymore.
Shocking. It's just like, ooh, certain things you can't take back. It's like, oh, man alive.
Is this the grandpappy in the Elsa's ice castle?
That was harsh.
That was harsh. It's like there's certain things that one should never say to their father, if they ever really want a long-lasting relationship, and I feel like that was one of them. But Lois tells Clark not to take everything that Jordan says at face value. Then
Great
she
advice.
says,
Great advice.
Great advice, yeah. Because he's coming from a place of a lot of heightened emotions. He's dealing with a lot of stuff, and he needs to vent. And I often think, as a parent, looking at my own kids, if your kids can vent at you like that, it's because they trust you. Both of my kids have had times when they've gone to nursery, and they've been great at nursery by all accounts. You know, the people there say, they've been angels, absolute angels. Well, that's because they were saving all the devilish, demonic forces within them for when they get home and everything turns to crap. And just like your life disappears down the toilet for that night until they wake up in the morning and they're angels again. And I think it's because the stuff they didn't feel comfortable getting out at nursery because they didn't feel in a safe environment. They weren't with people that they trusted 100%. They couldn't do that. Whereas if they can do that with you as the parent, it's because they trust you. So, piece of advice for anyone out there: if your kids are shouting at you like this, ease off a bit, because actually it's probably because you're the only person that they can vent at like
exactly.
This
is my life. My kid goes to school and he is the perfect little angel. He comes home. He will take everything out on me. But Lois has another great piece of advice here where she says, figure out why he's angry.
Yes.
And work
absolutely.
On that.
Yeah.
So parenting goals.
Absolutely. Don't work on the anger. Don't work on the thing that is happening in that moment, because actually the thing that is happening in that moment has got bugger all to do with any of it. It's actually something else that's going on, and that's what you need to deal with. But yeah, great therapy for parents, this podcast. It's just, we're here for all your parenting needs. But there's a little moment at the end of that exchange between Clark and Lois, which I just thought was comedy gold, made me chuckle, which is when she says that she needs to borrow his truck. And he says, you're going to bring it back, right? And she says, there's a 50-50 chance. It's 50-50. Yeah, just...
It's about right in Smallville.
Yeah, as a fan of Smallville, that line just cracked me up. I get
statistics.
Yeah.
25-75, baby.
Yeah, that line of dialogue works on so many levels if you're a fan of this character.
I mean, the writers must have at least watched all Smallville, if not have been somewhat involved.
Absolutely. Okay, so where are we? We go from there, and it's so Jonathan has a word with Jordan. Says he doesn't have to go on pretending to like football now that the truth is out. I've got a little clip here.
I don't know, what if joining the team's a good thing?
I appreciate you sticking up for your brother.
Look, it's not even like that. You should have seen him out there. He's making friends. He's been happy for the first time in forever.
So that little exchange between him and Jordan leads to Jonathan going to his dad and advocating for Jordan to continue playing football, which again, this dude should be getting Brother of the Year award, because he's putting aside he's gone in there, He's gone in there. He's assessed the situation. He's questioned Jordan. He's not just gone in and say, look, quit the football, stop being a douche, or anything like that. He's gone in and he's been like, okay, this whole football thing, what does it actually mean to you? Does it mean anything, or is it just a way to kind of, vent and get back at the people? Because if it means something to you, then it means something to me. And because of Jordan's response, because Jordan says, this is the first time basically that I've not felt like a freak and that I'm actually making friends, Jonathan instantly understands what this is about for him, goes straight to his dad and says, you need to let this dude play football.
You know what? The more we get of Jonathan, the more I see Jonathan is so much like, he's like Clark Kent of Smallville without powers.
Yeah.
He really is just cares so much about other people, self-sacrificing.
Jordan and Jonathan are, if Clark was a coin, if Clark was a coin, Jonathan would be heads and Jordan would be tails. They are one and the same. They make up Superman. They make up Clark, but they have to come together in order to do it. In order to be what Clark is, what he's always been, they have to be on the same page. It's really good.
Yeah, Jordan is his freak, feeling like an outsider, like a freak, and dealing with powers. So that's the other side of Clark.
Yeah,
a little bit of a darker side, which he does have.
Absolutely.
There's more to Jonathan than being Jordan's wingman. There's definitely some there.
Yeah. Absolutely. I just noticed there was a note I made a little bit on the scene earlier on when Jordan lost it at Clark, which is that something that came out of that was that he's very insecure about Jor-El saying his powers are crap. They gave
him a last name or something. Did you catch that? Jor-El something.
Oh right. If I did catch it,
do you know about Jordan's powers? Right. If it's derived from the sun, Jordan is playing Injustice 2 or all his computer games in his room. He's not getting any sun. He's not absorbing the sun. So he's never going to be, he's never going to be a superhero.
It's an analogy for proper teenagers, isn't it? Yeah. You need to get out, son. Get some sun on your bones. Come on.
Get out, get some sun, and you'll be soon a superhero. Get off the
your
video
ass.
games.
Stop playing computer games. Come on.
Yeah.
So,
seriously.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's my fault of the day. Yeah.
So so Jonathan advocates for Jordan, and then we get another scene in which Lois goes to meet Sharon, the woman who'd come to see her at. Now I describe this as Bates Motel because I'm sorry, but that is Bates Motel.
It is,
I took one look at that thing and I'm like, they're recycling sets here because that is Bates Motel, absolutely. Just a bit more run down. Yeah. So she goes to Bates Motel to speak with Sharon. Finds Sharon half strangled. The hitman is still there. Attacks her. And then she hits an alarm, which brings Superman.
Oh, that won't help you.
No, but he will.
That's my favorite clip of the episode.
Really?
Right. Yep.
Ah, right. It's okay. So this
he
is
was there pretty quick, though, wasn't he?
Yes,
this is
that's
where we're
what I
gonna
was
have our
like.
first disagreement.
He hit the button, and boom, he was there. I mean, my goodness, it was like the button was an ejector seatbelt.
No, it was lurking round the corner, looking after her to be there. That quick.
Well, he already knew where she was going. So presumably she would have told him exactly where she was going to meet this woman. So as soon as that buzzer went off, he was just like straight there. But my issue with this scene.
I have an issue with the scene. I just like that clip a lot.
Right. Okay. Great.
Yeah,
clip.
it's a good fight scene, but there are issues.
Yeah, it's a great clip, but this. I mean,
you know what I'm going to complain about, right?
The fact that this dude has got superpowers and pisses about with Lois and without just snapping a neck like that, and why Sharon is even close to being alive, because this guy's just
a penny in the ear.
I don't. Well, it's yeah. I mean, it shows that
he has a weakness.
Well, he's really powerful. He gets a pen in the ear and he don't give a toss. It's like just this dude brings Superman down. You know, he goes toe to toe with him. He punches the crap out of him. He you know, and yet two women who are just human walk away from this situation. You know, I find this guy to be quite possibly the most inefficient hitman ever to have entered the profession. Because if you've got those powers and you can't take out two women in a hotel room, then there's something wrong with you.
Well, she had Superman's help.
Yeah, but she should have never have got to that button.
Well,
he had her up against the door.
That's my issue with the button. And why did she wait to push the button? Why did she go for the pen instead of the button?
Here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why? Yeah. I know, just for suspense drama. That's what it was for. But it bothers me.
It's to give you that moment where you go, oh, there's something different about this guy. But we would have got that moment as soon as he started going smack down on Superman. And actually, it would have been a more effective reveal. Because if we see that he's just an ordinary guy, Lois is in trouble, and then Superman comes and we're like, ha, you're in trouble now, dude. And then this dude just starts nailing into Superman, then that becomes a much more effective reveal. But instead they go, oh, we've got to show he's got powers. So how are we going to do that? Lois is going to stab a pen in his ear and he's just going to yank it out. Well, okay, that could just mean that he's a weird psychopath who doesn't feel pain. It's just the whole scene to me is just really badly handled. I think it's very like I say, everything else in this episode has been absolute gold, and I feel like they've just let themselves down a bit with this sequence. They wanted a big action scene, and that's fine. You know, have this guy go toe to toe with Superman, but handle it better, reveal it better, because there's no way, once we discover this guy has these powers, we then know that there is no way that Lois is getting into a position where she could even stab him in the ear, let alone survive at all. And it's just, and then when you find out that the woman Sharon is in the bathroom, she's been strangled, how does she even still have a head? It's like this guy.
Hold on, about Sharon, I think that he was trying to make it look like something, right? Like he couldn't just take her out with his strength. They were probably trying to set her up for a situation. So I think it was a staging thing, and that's why he was using the strangulation. Because if he uses superpowers, that invites other questions in the police investigation.
Do it more effectively then. You know, it's like it's just like go. And if you've been interrupted by Lois, give her a love tap. We've seen that happen before, and then go back in there and finish the job. But this is it's really inefficient hitman skills.
It's true, and it bothered me in how long that Lois was fighting him, and not why did she wait so long to call him?
Yeah,
and the fact that she's lucky that she had a jacket with a big enough pocket for that thing, instead of using a watch. That's all. Yeah. If she wasn't able to push that button, I would have been pissed. But, we'll see what happens. It was barely believable in this instance. I told you that Lois is going to get in trouble. And she shows the guy the device, too. So not discreet at all. Yeah. She's lucky that he got killed because, she just showed her hand.
Yeah. It's a really weak scene. And the thing is, the thing that makes it disappointing is that it didn't need to be a weak scene. The few little tweaks they could have done, and it would have just worked perfectly. But because they ass around with having a little fight between him and Lois and whatnot, and pens in ears and things like that, it undermines the power of this guy. It undermines that he's just nails Superman afterwards.
But the Superman sequence was excellent, when the way he comes in there, I loved that. The fight scene was great, and then we have another clip here of him fighting him.
Yep.
It's like, yes, Clark, you have other abilities you need to use besides your strength.
Yeah, good to see him using his other powers. Superman kind of takes the guy down, but then the guy kind of does a runner, disappears, because they find Sharon in the bathroom. She's still just about alive, so they figure it's more important to get her to the hospital than chase this guy down. Although, why Superman couldn't have flown both Sharon and Lois instead of leaving Lois behind to potentially be picked up by this guy again is anyone's guess. To me, that just does not ring true as something that Clark would do. I do not see him leaving Lois behind to take this woman to hospital when he can quite easily lift both.
Although he could very quickly go to the hospital and come back.
It's not worth it. No, because you got to go to the hospital, you've got to get in there, and then you've got to deal with the slowness of other people by saying, this woman's been hurt, someone needs to come and do... It's just...
He's Superman, right?
Listen, 25 seconds is too long to take that risk. When you know that a guy has just punched the living crap out of you, you're Superman, this guy's taking you down to your knees.
I get what you're saying, because I kind of felt like I was surprised that he left Lois, too.
Yeah.
Because I was wondering if something else was going to happen to her in that moment.
When it's an easy fix, because you know that he can lift both, there's no excuse for taking even minor risks like that. So.
Although, if he showed up at the hospital with Lois and that girl, what would they think?
Well, as far as Lois is concerned, she's gone there to meet this woman. Superman's done what Superman does, which is pop in and rescue.
But Lois didn't need to go to the hospital, so why would he?
Yeah, but she would still be there to verify the story that this woman has been... Either way, Lois is going to have to get involved, surely, because she's a part of this story. She was going to meet this woman. So...
I don't know if it would invite any questions, between...
It's not like she has to go into the hospital with her. Just get her out of danger. Pick her up, fly her over to the next field, drop her off, then go to the hospital. Boom, problem fixed. But what you don't do is leave Lois 10 feet away from where this guy has almost just killed her. And almost just took you out.
Why didn't he throw the guy really far away or something?
I think we've gone on about this scene for perhaps too long. So, moving on.
Oh, yeah, we are not doing good on time.
Yeah, Molly, if we're not even got Durban with us tonight and we're still taking an eon to get through it. Molly, if that guy is strong enough to go toe-to-toe with Superman, how is Sharon not going to the morgue? Yes, my sentiments exactly. Anyway, moving on. So, next scene. Right. So, this next scene is my favourite scene of the whole episode. And I will come clean. I don't mind saying I actually cried during this scene. It brought tears to my eyes.
Yeah.
I was not expecting that. I just... This sequence really, really nails the relationship between Lana and Sarah. And most importantly, it turns Lana into a human being that I can both identify with, sympathise with, and root for. Because up until this point, she's been straddling that fence where she's just she could be someone who's just, she's all about appearances. She's all about looking the part and this, that, and the other. And to an extent, that's true. But as we learn, as we've already learned in that previous discussion with Clark, there's a woman underneath who's got heart, who loves her daughter, and just wants to connect with her. It's a great scene. We've got a clip. Both actresses, got to be said, do really great work, and it brought a tear to my eye.
I'm the most full of crap lady in Smallville. And most days, when I'm smiling, that's not how I feel inside.
It brought a tear to my eye too.
Yeah.
It's pretty sad, yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was so well handled, I think, just that sequence. But yeah, seeing the two of them be able to connect as well, because up until now Sarah has had this kind of, she's pushed back against Lana a lot and not really been able to open up to her, and Lana going in there and just kind of wearing her heart on her sleeve gets her daughter to open up to her, and the two of them all of a sudden they make this connection. And again, as a parent, you have moments like this where you're having struggles, and then all of a sudden you just get that breakthrough, and the two of you are able to be real with each other and cut through the crap, and that's what this scene does. And I loved it. It was my favourite scene of the episode, and given my history with the character of Lana in other shows, that really surprised me. So, yeah.
I'm surprised too about your reaction.
Anything to add?
I think I agree with everything you said, really.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely had those moments as well.
Yeah. I like that I get another thing that's very real about it is just like we find out why Sarah attempted to commit suicide, and it was that she saw herself turning into her mother, and not because her mother is a bad person or anything like that, but just because she doesn't want to be stuck in a town doing a job that she doesn't necessarily want to do, going through the motions, doing what you feel like you have to do because that's what everybody in the town does, which is kind of what Lana is doing. She admits that she kind of feels trapped by that as well. It's just, again, very real moment, very real fears that I imagine a lot of people can identify with, whether you live in a small town or a city or whatever, is that idea of falling into a life that you don't want to be in. So yeah, it's a great moment. So we go from there to a scene in which Clark talks to Jordan about baseball, and relates his history when he was young with baseball, or the lack thereof, with Jordan, and why. Basically, it means he can identify with Jordan, and he tells him that essentially, look, yeah, you can do football because I get it, I get it. I've been there. I know what it's all about. We've got a little clip just from that movie.
I don't know how to explain it. It's just a feeling. I guess you would know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I do.
It was great to see them connecting.
Yeah.
So we got to see Sarah and Lana connect, and then we got to see these two finally connect.
Yeah.
So
in this episode, this is, I think, the only scene in the whole show that Jordan is actually smiling.
No, he's smart. Maybe this episode, but he has You're just talking about this episode, are you?
This scene, yeah.
Yeah.
He smiled at the fortress.
Because
he's smiling.
Yeah. He's smiled in previous episodes. He smiled in the other 2 episodes. He's had moments with Jonathan, but maybe perhaps in this episode. Yeah. It's again nice scene just because of the family dynamics. Really relatable father and son moment. I always like it when, like, just that moment there where he says, "You'd know," and then they kind of smile because it's like, yeah, I guess I would.
And you're doing it for a girl. Yeah.
So a little behind the scenes thing, you know that Tyler was a baseball prodigy.
Oh, right. The actor who plays Superman.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, I did not know that.
Yeah.
There
So it's interesting they brought baseball into it. But yeah, that was and I love that they're finally sharing that connection with the powers part of it there, you know?
Yeah.
They can identify with each other. Like, that was the first time we've seen that since...
Yeah. Mercenary X84 says, I wonder what Durbin's take on Lana would be. Well, I imagine Durbin's take would be something along the lines of #Lana drama, but
we'll find out next week.
We'll find out next week. But we're getting to the end, guys. We're getting to the finish line. We've reached that 1 hour 40 minute. I can't believe this one's going to be longer than our previous ones. It's ridiculous.
There's an extended scene, which I don't know if you've seen, Brian, that is actually the next one, which is, I think it's kind of a funny scene. Yeah. Clark goes to the coach because he wants to be the assistant coach. And he's, saying that he wants, the coach is like, no, we've already have assistant coaches, you're too late, and plus it's not like you have any experience on your LinkedIn profile. And he says, well, I just really want to spend some time with, both my sons are on the team. And he said, well, why don't you just take them camping or something? And then Lois says, well, he can do it for free. And he's like, oh, well, then you're on the team. And Clark goes, nice assist. Thank you.
No, I did see that one on the version I saw, yeah.
No, I didn't see that scene. I mean, it does explain the next scene, which I did
does.
see,
I think that's the only thing it does. It helps you understand why all of a sudden Clark is in.
Although it does also tie into his past behaviour of spying on them. It's just now he's kind of spying on him. He's keeping an eye on him, but he's doing it with their knowledge of it.
I think it's the compromise, because he did say that there would be a compromise, right? So
yeah, definitely. Which again kind of gets lost a little bit when you cut that scene out. Not totally, but it's a much better segue, I think, if you get that scene, because obviously if you come straight out of the scene where Clark says there has to be a compromise straight into, hey, I want to be assistant coach, you understand straight away that's what the compromise is.
You see,
but you don't. You come out of that scene and then you go to Jordan talking with Sarah, and then so there's a bit of a delay there, and then you get the moment with Clark and the bottles of water. So if you're not paying attention, the compromise bit is kind of missed.
But I want to say that this is a much better use of the extended version than what they did last week. This is acceptable for me. Because it doesn't change the story. It just better explains and flows things. Because of time, they had to cut it. And
but they could have cut the Kyle scene instead.
That's not as long, because they needed the whole minute.
I know.
This scene it was a minute 6 over. So I looked at the time difference between the two. But the last episode was unacceptable.
Yeah, the last one was acceptable. But we do get this scene, which I just found absolutely hilarious.
Your dad seems like he's really struggling.
Yeah, Dad's a new assistant coach.
Do you need any help, Mr. Kent?
Hey, sir. Oh, great. Hey, Coach gave me a jacket and I bought a hat.
Oh, that's so funny.
We get Dorky Clark. Now, if Clark in Smallville actually acted like that, then whenever Lois would call him a dork, I would have been like, okay, he is a dork. But anyway, that's one of the few times we get to see dorky Clark, his other persona, which is interesting now that the boys see the different versions of their dad.
Because the thing is, most of the scenes,
overdone it?
Yeah, most of the scenes that we've seen so far with Clark are with people who know that he's got his powers. So we rarely get that moment for him to kind of shine in that way. And Lana kind of doesn't count because they have such a history together that he is going to be a bit more natural with her. So these moments where he gets to be a bit darky, they're kind of few and far between. But I do like that they're putting them in there. But that just seeing him pretend to struggle with that water.
I know, that was so funny.
It's just even Tyler Hoechlin, blah, 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 whatever his name is, even him, just as a normal human being, I wouldn't buy him struggling to that extent with that water. Never mind if he was actually Superman. It was just a really funny moment. But the main takeaway that came out of that scene is that Sarah will go and see Jordan play at his first game, which shows that she might have something for him.
And Dad saw. Dad was like, "Yay for you!" And then
go, girl.
I do like what the moment with the water cooler after when Jordan goes to help his dad, and then he goes, "Oh, is that too much?"
Yeah.
Oh. Oh, I love the levity in this episode.
So we get again another scene that I really like. When we get to our grades on this, I'm really torn, but we'll get there when we get there. I really love this scene that comes up next. Just got a little clip here. So the editor, Bippy Boppy, whatever her name is, she apologizes to Lois for basically not trusting in her, not rolling with her story, because she was obviously right. But then Lois, this is a really nice moment where Lois apologizes for essentially for arrogance, for being the big city reporter who's come to the small town thinking it doesn't really have anything to offer, when in actual fact it's that attitude that is kind of pervaded the societal structure, I guess, which prevents people from seeing the stuff that goes on in small towns. Stuff that people can get away with things in small towns precisely because we have this attitude that it's a small town, nothing going on there. So it's a really nice moment that just highlights why actually there would be more reason to have someone like Lois working for a paper in Smallville. We've got a little clip here. We've got Beppy's Wall of Weird, which I kind of liked. She's gathering evidence, putting it all on this wall. It just instantly made me think of Chloe and her Wall of Weird.
This feels big, doesn't it?
Yeah. Now it's up to us to put it all together.
Yep, definitely.
It works perfect for our background too.
It does. I was just thinking that. So yeah, great stuff. And we have one final scene. Now I've only seen this once, and I didn't play it back just to check on the name, but I could have sworn that. Let me play the scene first.
Done. I'll call a team.
So a Kryptonian kills the hitman that was really inefficient, so quite frankly deserved everything he got. But she's obviously a Kryptonian.
Now,
but I'm sure.
Are you absolutely sure? I mean, is it possible that she just has heat vision?
It's possible, but not likely.
Well,
the only thing is the only thing.
Investigations.
Just before the thing that I was trying to get to was, I'm sure the person she was on the phone to called her Lara or Kara. It was either Lara or Kara.
I forget.
So, are we to assume that this is some kind of relation to Clark, Superman? I don't know. It was just weird that they went with that name, because obviously that name has very specific connotations within the history of the character. If you're going to introduce a female Kryptonian that doesn't have any ties to Clark's kind of family history, don't give her the name Lara and don't give her the name Kara. But I'm sure it was one of those names, which really threw me off guard. Because I'm like, is this Supergirl or is it Clark's mum? Is it what's going on? So yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there. But
Okay, do you want my theory on it?
go on.
Right, the character is Leslie La, not Leslie La, and she's a Kandorian supervillain from the comics who tries to get over Supergirl. So yes, she was captured in the Kandorian ball by Brainiac.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's a DC villain, but she's Kandorian. Yeah. Leslie La.
Interesting. Right. That brings us to the close of the episode, so we'll just wrap up and give our grades for it. Lisa, let's start with you. Overall thoughts of the episode and then grade out of 5.
Right, I love the fight with Superman, so I'm going for the 4.5. Can I do halves?
Yeah. We've done
4.5.
halves. So yeah. Nicole.
So here's the thing. I like this better than the last episode, but I feel like I'm boxed in a corner because I gave the last one 4.5.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I still want to leave the 5 for maybe something like a finale, which will probably be better. But I can't give it the same as the last episode. If I could do 4.75, I would. But Brian's probably not going to let me. So if that's the case, then I have to go with the 5. I really liked this episode.
Yeah. I'm really torn on this one because I'm pretty much in the same boat you're talking about. The thing is, I think there's a difference between favourite and best.
Yes.
And I think if I'm just reviewing these episodes objectively, I found less to criticise in the previous 2 than I did in this one. There are a few lazy kind of mistakes in this one, a few little things where if they'd have just tweaked it, it would have improved it vastly, just purely from an objective standpoint. So objectively, I would say this episode isn't as good as the other 2, and yet it made me cry. So I connected with it. I connected with it on such an emotional level that, to me, I would say I actually preferred it. So it's my favourite, but it's not the best.
You see, that's how I rated the Smallville episode as well. Like Red, I was doing it not based on production value, but my personal feelings.
Yeah.
How do I feel? And that's how I'm rating. So that's why this is a 5.
Which puts me in a tricky spot because I marked the previous 2 episodes as 5s. So objectively, I wanted to give this a 4.5, but I can't because I've been an idiot with my scoring in the past 2. So
right, apparently Durban's just come in and says it's still 4.7734.
Hashtag Durban drama.
No, it's not.
Right. Okay.
No, it's not.
Despite its flaws, I'm going to give it a 5.
So someone said Clark finally has a job, but you have to remember he is running the farm, and that is a full-time job for regular people. Obviously for Clark. Oh, which by the way, he was fixing the tractor already, Brian. So that was his surprise. He didn't use heat vision.
He was fixing the tractor, then he went off to bloody China. There was their toilet.
Priorities.
He's not getting paid to be an assistant coach, so I'd almost more call it a hobby.
Right. Anyway, now that we've reached our longest running time yet, how that happened, Durban clearly keep us grounded. I don't know, but we've clearly run away with ourselves. I don't know, but yes, we'll call it quits there. Please join us again next week for the next episode 4 of Superman and Lois, and hopefully at some point soon we will also be covering another episode of Smallville. We've not decided on which one that is going to be just yet, but I have a sneaking suspicion it will be Hypnotic. Anyway, all that's left is to say goodbye and thank you for joining us.
Namaste.
That too. We'll see you next time. Take care. I'm looking for my thing. There it is. Goodbye.
Right.